In a small village nestled at the foot of a verdant mountain lived a humble and pious man named Samuel. Samuel was a devout believer in God, known for his unwavering faith and dedication to living a life of obedience to divine principles. The villagers often sought his counsel, admiring the peace and joy that seemed to emanate from his very being. This is the story of how Samuel's obedience to God brought about transformative blessings, not just for him, but for his entire community. The early days of faith. From a young age, Samuel was taught the importance of obedience to God by his parents. They instilled in him the teachings of the Holy Scriptures, emphasizing virtues such as honesty, kindness, patience, and trust in God's plan. Samuel took these lessons to heart and committed himself to living a righteous life. He prayed daily, helped those in need, and treated everyone with respect and compassion. As Samuel grew older, he encountered numerous challenges and temptations. There were times when taking shortcuts or acting out of selfishness seemed appealing, but he always remembered his parents' words and chose to stay true to his faith. His dedication was often met with scorn and ridicule by those who did not understand his commitment, but Samuel remained steadfast, finding solace in the belief that God's way was the best way. The test of faith. One year, the village faced a severe drought. The once lush fields turned barren, and the river that provided water for crops and livestock dried up. The villagers were desperate and fearful for their future. Many began to lose hope and question the goodness of God. In the midst of this crisis, Samuel continued to pray and encouraged others to do the same. He organized community gatherings for prayer and shared his faith that God would provide for their needs if they remained obedient and faithful. Samuel's unwavering faith inspired many, but there were still those who doubted. They scoffed at his optimism and labeled his efforts as futile. Despite this, Samuel persisted, believing that God was testing their faith and that their perseverance would be rewarded. The miraculous provision. One morning, as Samuel was praying by the riverbed, he noticed something unusual. A small spring of water began to bubble up from the ground. Over the next few days, the spring grew into a steady stream, providing much-needed water to the village. The villagers were astonished and overjoyed. They attributed the miracle to Samuel's faith and obedience to God. With the new water source, the villagers were able to irrigate their fields, and soon the crops began to flourish. The drought ended, and the village experienced a bountiful harvest. The once skeptical villagers now saw the tangible benefits of obedience to God and began to adopt Samuel's practices of prayer, faith, and righteousness.